My name is Ryan Michaels. I'm the Vice Chancellor of Business Innovation and Economic Development on the ATU Ozark campus. And with me today, I have Stacey McCollough, Program Chair of Automation and Industrial Controls, also on the ATU Ozark campus. Stacey, welcome.
Good to be here.
Today, we're going to be talking about some industrial maintenance, specifically around mechanical and electrical, some courses that we put together, and you've been instrumental in putting these courses together. But before we get into that, Stacey, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your experience in industrial maintenance, automation, technical education, and what makes you passionate about that?
Well, my background is really varied. Originally, I went to college to be a vet, and realized that vet school was really expensive, and I already had a family, and so that was kind of out of the question. So I became a county agent. And my job was to go out and work with producers and homeowners and 4-H kids and anything to do with agriculture and to work with them. And that's really where I developed a passion for helping people and giving people a hand up instead of a hand out.
Yeah.
And so as I transitioned then later on into a nonprofit role where I was doing economic development and community development, that followed me into that role, and that's where I got a real good look at our workforce and what the demands of business was for the workforce in our area. And part of my job was to recruit companies to the town that I worked for.
Oh, wow.
And I watched business after business after business, check us out and then no thank you and go on. And I'd ask, why are we not what you're looking for? And it was never infrastructure. It was never land. It was never buildings. It was workforce. And it wasn't that we didn't have a workforce, and it wasn't that we didn't have a workforce that would work hard, because we did. We had a good labor force. We did not have a technologically trained labor force. And this was 25 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And that's both through that job and as I traveled around and went to trade shows and different things, that's when I realized that we have a real problem in Arkansas as a whole, and specifically in the River Valley. We've got hardworking people, but we don't have hardworking people that have a high level of technical skills.
Gotcha.
They're skilled. There's no question about that.
Mm-hmm.
But the higher end technology is what we're missing. And so that's kind of become something important to me. Fast forward a few years, and I got a chance to go back to school and actually got into automation because it was something that I'd always been interested in, and got out into the workforce and worked actually doing heat and air, surprisingly, which I did building management systems actually, and I worked on stadiums and hospitals and schools, and really, really enjoyed that work. Never thought I would enjoy something like that, and I loved it. Got a chance to come back to teach. And so that's how I wound up here.
Wow. And
for me, that passion of helping our labor force succeed, that's never gone away. For me, that's very important.
That's amazing.
Because I tell my students, I can show you a door to a better life. I can help you open that door, but I can't step through it for you.
Right.
But I want to get them there.
You have to instill that passion in them so they can take that next step.
That's right.
And then hopefully follow in your footsteps to be able to teach, to teach others and be a good mentor for somebody else, right?
Yes. The longer that I'm in the world of automation, the more I realize how large it really is. It's a massive world.
Right.
And it's hard to say, you get an associate's, or you get a technical certificate or a credential in this part of automation, and this is the job you're going to have. It's not like that.
Right.
You can have a job anywhere you go.
Right.
You might be doing like I did, building management systems in the HVAC world. You might be working on robots in a factory. You might be working on roller coasters in an amusement park. You could be working on an automated tractor, an International Harvester, fully automated robotic tractor.
Right.
Or a drone, or the list just goes on and on and on.
Right. Everything,
all the options that are available.
Everything is getting more highly and highly automated.
Yes.
When we look at our industrial maintenance courses that we're getting ready to offer out here for mechanical and for electrical, so what kind of knowledge and hands-on skills will these students gain when they're going through this mechanical course or the electrical course?
Okay, to start with the electrical course, because that's actually the course that we'll have first. That is really a safety and electrical course. So we start out with just basic job safety. How to come home at night. And I've worked for various companies, and they'll tell you, safety's our first priority. Safety's job one. The reality is, you're the only one that can make sure you come home that night. You're the only one that can make sure that you come home with all the parts you left home with. And I've seen it over and over and over again. And that's what another thing that I want to instill in my students is your safety is your responsibility. And I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care, trust the guy that you're standing next to, but your safety is your business.
That's right. That's right.
And then we go on into it's kind of hand in hand. We go into the electrical world, electrical measurement, working with electricity. Start out with low voltage controls, and the safety part of that, but also the measurement and testing and troubleshooting part of that. And then thrown in that mix is some what's called 5S. And for people that have never heard of 5S, it is a technique that was developed, I guess ultimately by Toyota years and years and years ago. And lean manufacturing, Six Sigma, all of this kind of falls in together. But 5S is a process of cleaning your workspace, organizing your workspace, getting rid of anything that's in the way that you don't need immediately. And it's basically, shine, polish, clean, organize, so that when you're working on something, your tools are there, they're ready, they're handy, and there's really nothing in your way. It optimizes your efficiency as a worker in your workstation.
I've always been told that a clean workstation is a safe workstation, right?
To a certain extent, yes.
Right.
An uncluttered, clean, organized workstation is a safe workstation, and it goes beyond that. Growing up as a kid, there were people that I was around that were very talented, different things: masons, bricklayers, carpenters, and you'd see somebody come through, and they would have tools that were worn, used, but clean.
Right.
And those people just had a confidence about them. They knew what they were doing, and you felt like they knew what they were doing.
Right.
And then you'd have another person show up, and their tools were dirty and beat up, and they'd used a screwdriver for a pry bar, they used a wrench for a hammer, and you didn't really want to trust that they were going to take care of your stuff.
That's not what that's supposed to be used for.
If they can't take care of their stuff, how are they going to take care of your stuff?
What about your mechanical courses? We're talking about the electrical, but looking at the hands-on skills, they're looking with the mechanical side of it.
The mechanical courses, we're going to focus on power transfer, shaft alignment, belts and pulleys, chains, gear drives. And the electrical, mechanical, there's a little bit of overlap there because we're going to work with electrical motors, of course, pneumatics and hydraulics, pulling bearings, how to lubricate properly. And then we're going to get into some preventative maintenance and predictive maintenance. Now, preventative maintenance, most people know what that is. You change the oil in your car to keep the engine from blowing up. Right. That's preventative maintenance. Predictive maintenance is using vibration sensors, vibration analysis, using infrared cameras, temperature analysis, and looking at a part and saying, okay, this is the pattern that part is in right now. If that pattern changes and we know that part's going out or it will go out, and through various software packages, you can say, well, this bearing now has this frequency change. That bearing will go out in 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And so for a company to be able to say, we know we have a bearing or a motor or a gearbox that is starting to show some signs of going out, rather than waiting for it to fall apart in the middle of a production run and you're down.
That's lost revenue there.
4 or 5 days.
That's right.
You get the part ahead of time, and then you actually schedule a shutdown and change the part, and you've saved an enormous amount of time. You've saved an enormous amount of money, because time is money.
Right. That's a really, really good segue, talking about all of the different things that you have in your lab. So when the students are in these courses, and they're going to be inside your lab. What kind of equipment are they going to be able to get their hands on? Troubleshooting activities that they can expect to try to do?
We have various trainers, both purchased and custom built. And then we have various industrial parts to go along with those trainers and to go along with our labs or our activities. And so the students will have their hands on, for instance, for laser shaft alignment, they're going to have their hands on a laser shaft alignment kit. That's exactly like what you're going to see in the industry. If they're going to be pulling a bearing, they're going to have their hands on a bearing puller. That's exactly what they're going to see in the industry, or a beam puller like they're going to see in the industry. We also have trainers that give you the same skill set. They may not be the same part that you're going to be using in industry, but the skills will transfer.
That's great.
And so it depends on, depends on what we're doing, exactly what we're going to have our hands on. But the reality is these courses are very hands-on. We expect the student to do, a certain amount of reading and a certain amount of work at home in preparation for the lab. But we're going to spend as much time when we're in the building, we're going to spend as much time as we can with our hands on something.
That's amazing, because I think, a lot of students, not all, but a lot of those students are going to learn a lot better by hands-on, to be able to, not just tell me about it, but show me, let me get my hands on that. Looking at your experience that you've had out in the industry, how do you think that influences the way that you teach and prepare these students for going out into the workforce today?
Well, I try to pass along, struggles that I had and struggles that I saw other technicians have with learning, some particular part or some particular job, or they were handed a part and say, go replace this on this piece of equipment. And by the way, the part that you're replacing hasn't been made in 30 years, and there's no documentation for it anymore.
Oh, good.
And you're scratching around trying to find, information.
Sure.
The ability to look up information and the ability to understand what you're looking at and understand how it works, I think is critically important for the technicians that we're training.
Right.
And so for me, it's a very practical skill set. There is some theory to it, but for the most part, it tends to be an extremely practical training, because that's what, as I got into the role, that's what I needed, and that's what people that I saw needed. Right. And so for me, that's what we try to do, is an extremely hands-on, practical, real life. This is what you're going to see out in the job market. That's
amazing. The students that are going to be taking these courses, or the students that you currently have going through these courses, what kind of careers or advancement opportunities do you think these students might be able to pursue once they're out?
Well, in the automation world, the sky's really the limit. Again, whether it's transportation or warehousing or manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, oil and gas industry, heat and air, manufacturing, of course, amusement parks, agriculture, whatever it happens to be, the world of automation is huge. And so for our technicians, I expect our graduates to walk out the door and walk into a job. If they're not making at least $25 an hour, I'm going to be real disappointed.
Wow.
And for a good automation technician, $70,000 a year is pretty easy. Especially if you're good with a PLC, which is a programmable logic controller, everything runs on PLCs, whether it's a robot or your car or an aircraft or SpaceX's rockets. They'll have a bunch of them in there, but that's what the world runs on. And if you're a good PLC technician, and this kind of gets over into what I teach for credit, but if you're a good PLC technician, you're looking at $90,000, pretty easy.
Wow.
And if you're really good, $120,000, not out of the question.
Wow. Looking at these two courses, the industrial maintenance on the mechanical side and the electrical side, the students that are looking to enroll into these courses, what would you tell them would be the biggest value of this training?
It's a skill set. It is a developed skill set, and that's really what we've got. Years ago, I had a professor in college. He always talked about your toolbox. Mm-hmm. What have you got in your toolbox? And what he was meaning was, what have you got in your skill set?
Right.
And that's exactly what I want to help these students develop is a good set of skills, a good set of tools that they can use, and they can walk into a job and you're never going to know everything about a job. You're always going to be learning. But I want to instill in them the process of learning and the desire to learn, plus some confidence.
Right.
I want them to walk onto the job site and understand there's things they don't know, but they can figure it out.
Right.
And they have that confidence because that, if I'm an employer and I'm looking at a prospective employee and I've got an employee that walks in, and I'm not talking about arrogance, I'm talking about confidence.
Right.
He comes in there or she comes in there and they're confident as a technician. I'm going to feel a lot better about employing that person.
Right. Not only can I come in and I can tell you what I can do, and this piece of paper shows that I have the certifications. All of that said, now let me show you.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Stacey, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
I appreciate being here.
Absolutely.